Hey guys, welcome back to Tabitha Inspired TV. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning and I am up. I cannot sleep, so therefore I am filming. So I'm back to talk to you guys about one of the least discussed topics and one of the least researched topics, autism and behavior challenges. So today we're going to talk about autism as it relates to behavior challenges due to a lack of structure. So basically that's a mix between I can't have my way / I don't have any structure, therefore I am going to just act out. So I was trying to decide what I was going to talk about tonight and how I was going to approach this topic. Because it's kind of like a really crazy in-between topic. Because some of these challenges that we consider to be behavior are real. And some of them are really just like, okay, this is just a game. We're just trying to get our way, or you don't like what was said, so therefore you're just acting out just because. But it's actually low-key controllable. Our kids know how to also play the game. So I'm going to tell you a story about my son when he was 12 years old and we were on our way to Target. Now, I wanted to go to Target specifically for a bag of pistachios that were $8.99. That's all I wanted, was a bag of pistachios for $8.99. So we jump in the car heading to Target, and I told my son on the way to the store, hey, look, when we get there, don't start asking for a whole bunch of stuff and just, like this is a pattern that he would do. He had a habit of getting to the store, and then we got in the store, then he saw something that he wanted, and then he would have a fit when he couldn't have it. So I told him, I said, hey, look, when we get there, don't play that game with me. Okay, Mom, sure, no problem. I was like, okay, cool. So when we got to Target, we went inside, and I was heading over to get my bag of pistachios, and I'm ready to leave. And then he's like, Mom, I want to go check out the iPhones. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Lord have mercy, because his iPhone was actually broken because he took it and he threw it against the wall when he got mad. Now he wants to go look at these iPhones, which was kind of concerning to me because I had a feeling he was going to really want an iPhone in the store that day. I was hesitant about saying, hey, I don't think that's a good idea, but because we were already in the store, it added a different twist to the whole scenario. So I was kind of in a position, knowing my son, that I had to go and look at these iPhones with him. So I said, okay, let's go check out the iPhones, but we're not buying anything, is what I said. So when we got to the phone section, he was looking at the iPhones, and I was kind of just walking around looking at some other things, just kind of looking at him on the down low because I wanted to kind of get a gauge of what was going on in his mind. We had been there for about maybe 10 minutes or so. And I said, look, let's get ready to go. I have to get home. Got things to do, whatever. And he was like, but Mom, but I want the iPhone. And I'm like, we didn't come here for an iPhone. But I want the iPhone. Sweetie, we didn't come here for the iPhone. I came here to get a bag of $8.99 pistachios, not an $800 iPhone. He starts tripping out and yelling, I want the iPhone! I want the iPhone! I want it now! Making demands on the spot that he wants this iPhone. And I'm like, very careful not to say the word no, because that's a whole nother level of behavior. Instead of saying no, I said, look, we're about to leave because I got to get home. And we'll talk about it when we get home. We'll talk about it in the car, but we got to go. We start walking towards the clothing department. Now, here we are in the women's clothing department about to leave. And he stops in his tracks, determined that he's getting this iPhone on demand that day. And he starts jumping up and down, as high and as fast as he could, tossing himself on the ground, on the floor, just like thrashing himself around, kicking his legs. I want the iPhone. I want the iPhone. I want it now. I want it now. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, this is just not happening. So it ended up, it really was happening. I had no idea what to do. All of these people were just like looking at me. It was so embarrassing. Oh my God. I was just like, this is crazy. What am I going to do? How am I going to get this boy out to the car? So all I kept thinking about was how far the car was away from where we were.
You're traveling to another dimension.
So then I thought about it. I was like, the moment I walked into the store and he said he wanted to see the phones, I should have turned around and just left. That was the moment that I had the opportunity to leave. I could have said something like, oh, I forgot something in the car. Then we got in the car. Then boom, we left. Because I knew something like that was going to happen. And when he gets in that mode, it's scary because I don't want, the manager to get involved and because he's like having this major tantrum, then they call the police or something crazy. So I was trying to get him to get himself together before anything got further out of control. But he would not stop kicking and thrashing himself around on the floor and jumping up and down and just falling back on the floor again. It was just out of control, literally. People are so quick to judge, but less quick to ask questions and ask you if you need any help. And in that moment, I needed help. And at one point, part of me was like, okay, just buy the iPhone and get it over with because these behaviors are just out of control. But then another part of me says, no, you can't do that because if you do that, then you're letting him know that he can get whatever he wants when he wants it. All he has to do is have behavior. And I was not trying to pay $800 for an iPhone just to get him out of the store. I mean, seriously, no, that was insane. Absolutely 100% not. I wasn't doing it, but I sure thought about it. You see, he was actually playing a mind game with me. Give me what I want or I'm going to have behavior. And once I get what I want, then I can always get what I want. So in my mind, I had to come to the conclusion that I was not going to play into this game. I was not going to give in. And I wasn't going to give in. I could not give in because if I would have given in, then I would have lost all respect from him, all control, and he would have played me every single time we went to the store. So I couldn't give in. So it just so happens there was another autism mom in the store. And, I was looking around, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And her eyes met mine. And in that moment, I was so grateful because it looked like she understood just from afar what I was going through. So she had her son with her, but her husband kicked in and took him. And she walked over to me and she was like, hey, I know what's going on. I'm going to help you out to your car. Never said the word autism. She just knew. That was like a miracle. I mean, the biggest blessing, because for the life of me, I could not think how I was going to get this boy to the car. I had no idea what I was going to do. And it was getting so out of control that security was about to get involved because he was like kicking on the clothes racks and stuff was falling off the racks and all of this foolishness. And I was like, oh God. I was like, oh my God, please send me some help. And I was literally, when I saw her, my eyes were screaming, help, help me, help me. When I tell you that this was a miracle and a blessing, I kid you not. The fact that she recognized my struggle, it was just, oh my God, incredibly unbelievable that she just recognized, just looking at me. And that's what I mean by autism parents having to be there for each other and just really having each other's back because she knew my struggle. So when we finally got my son to the car, it was a fight. I mean, he fought to get away from me and her, but we got him to the car, got him in the car, and I was heading home. I tell you, I was so upset because I didn't even get to get my bag of pistachios. I had to end up dropping them in the clothing department to deal with all that foolishness. So on our way home, I was hot. I was so hot, but I did not say anything. I just kept quiet because I knew if I said anything, I was going to cause a whole nother episode of something else. So I maintained my composure and we just drove home because I wanted to be safe and I didn't want him jumping across the seat or anything while I was driving. So, anyway, he was upset because he didn't get the iPhone, and I was upset because of the way he showed his tail. But when we got home, I let everything I had to say out. I didn't get loud and draw a crowd. I just told him straight up, when we go to the store, you never act like that again. Now, did he ever act like that again? Yeah, okay. But I made sure that he knew that he could not ask for things on demand in the store and get mad when someone doesn't buy it for you. That's just not the way life works. Then I told him you can earn the things that you want. And I said we would talk about the phone when we got home, and we did. And I told him, because of his history of throwing things, I wasn't going to pay him $800 so he can go out and buy another phone the next day and then get mad and have a tantrum and throw it. I mean, that is just insane. So my thought was, you can get a phone. It may not be an iPhone, but you can get a phone and it could be like one of those prepaid phones. It looks like a smartphone. It does like some of the same things or whatever. But I was not paying for an $800 iPhone. We sat down and I said, look, if you want to listen, I can tell you how you can go about getting a phone. I didn't say iPhone. I said, go about getting a phone. I told him, I said, you would have to learn how to earn what you want. And basically, he's like, earn? What do you mean earn? So he knew exactly what I meant, but I explained it to him. Earn. Then I told him, and he would have to save his money to get the things that he wanted. Save? What do you mean save? What are you talking about? I explained save. Then I never said he wasn't getting an iPhone. I just said, then you can get something like an iPhone. Like an iPhone? What do you mean like an iPhone? I want an iPhone. I want an iPhone. Calm down, okay? Calm down. So I explained chores to him, which he had done before, and he was very well aware of what chores were, but he just didn't want to work for it. He wanted to have a tantrum, and he wanted to get what he wanted in that moment so he could have what he wanted in that moment and not have to do anything to earn it. So I told him, I said, here, these are the chores that you can do if you want to earn a phone. Believe it or not, he was up at 6 o'clock in the morning, cleaning the refrigerator, cleaning the cabinets, taking dishes out of the dishwasher, cleaning underneath the sink, cleaning the drawers. I mean, this boy worked his tail off. He literally worked his tail off. He was up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He was done, I think, by 10:30 or 11 o'clock that morning. Everything I told him to do. I was so super proud of him. And I'm going to show you him in action. Check it out. So I'm about to take you on my son's journey for that day that he got up so early in the morning and was anxious to get his day started. He didn't even wake me up. He just started his work because he had his list. He knew what he needed to do and he got it done. His only question was, Mommy, can you check this? And did I do a good job? And that was amazing to me. So yeah, check it out. Now, wasn't that amazing? I mean, literally, he worked so hard and in the end, he got his phone. It was just a prepaid, smartphone, but he got his phone and he was so proud of himself. And that made me proud because I had him to actually go through those steps to do what he had to do to get it. And he was able to do it. That just showed me that not only was he eager to make the money so he can go and buy what he wanted, but he was also capable. He was capable, but he wanted to use his behavior to his advantage to get what he wanted. And I could not allow him to do that. This whole situation really revealed to me that there was no structure in our home, because if there was structure, I would not have gone through what I went through in Target, because he would have known that you have to work for what you want. You just don't go in there all willy-nilly and just, I want this, and there, boom, you get it. It just doesn't work like that. Now, I did feel a little guilty because I remember when I was working in the ER, 12-hour shifts. I was working night shift, 3 days on, 4 days off. And during that time, when I would come home in the morning, they were just going to school. So we were kind of like two shifts passing in the night. And by the time I was getting up to get ready to go back to work, they were just coming home from school. So we were passing again. And what I did was I would buy them things to kind of hold them over, because, I felt bad because I wasn't there all the time. So I would just buy them things. Like, the one thing I wish I would have never bought was an iPad. And because of that, they spent a lot of time on the iPad and getting into stuff they probably shouldn't have been getting into. And it just took away, I believe, like, their childhood. Because nowadays, kids are more like on digital devices than they are actually connecting with friends and playing outside and making mud pies and doing all the things I did when I was little. So I feel like they lost a lot of their childhood because of that. But I still did other things with them. But I used to give them things. My point is, I used to give them things because I wasn't there. And maybe he felt like I should continue to do that. I don't know. But I had to nip that in the bud. And I told him, hey, you're going to have to earn this. So I know that he can be successful in life because he really, 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 truly knows how to work. But it's just the behavior. Because if the behavior is not controlled, no one's going to hire him or even tolerate that kind of stuff in the community. And I had to stress to him that if you really want something, you have to work for it, because the world is not like that. They're not going to just hand you whatever you want. And you cannot use autism as an excuse if you have the ability to actually do the work. Now, I remember I posted something on Instagram that had something to do with the story, and I was telling the story, and I said something like, you can't use autism as an excuse not to do whatever. And some parents got really angry with me, and they started posting some crazy stuff or whatever. But my thing was this: you can't cripple your kids. And parents, they get upset in the wee hours of the morning asking themselves, what's going to happen to my child if something happens to me? But you have to be able to allow them to learn to do things for themselves and not use the disability against them, because that's what it is. They're using it against their child versus using it for them. And using it for them is like saying, hey, look, we're going to turn this into a positive thing. I'm going to show you how to do it. And then you do it. And then you get what you get from it. Don't just give it and then that's going to be their expectation. And then there's not going to be any sense of responsibility learned at all. And the bottom line is, either you do the chores or you don't. And if you don't, you just don't get what you wanted. Point blank. Now, some people may think, oh, that's too harsh. You shouldn't be so harsh on them. Well, you know what? When they turn 20, 21, 22, and they're still expecting mom or dad to give them things, I don't think that's too harsh, because the reality is the world is not set up for our kids, and they have to be a step ahead of the game. And unless we prepare them and bring them a step ahead of the game, they'll never make it. So we have to be very cognizant of what we are allowing our kids to do when they are capable versus what we're not allowing them to do when they are truly capable. And I totally get the behaviors can be overwhelming. But if I were to have given in to my son, he would have taken that all in and then he would try me. He would literally try me to the max. That day, he literally went to the max. But the thing about it was, this was not even true behavior. This was about him not getting what he wanted and the idea that it sounded like I was saying no. Never said no, but it sounded like I was saying no because I said we are going home. And he knew in that moment he wasn't going to get what he wanted, so therefore he continued to act out. That wasn't true behavior. True behavior is when you act out and you really can't control yourself. You really can't stop. He could stop. If I would have said, okay, we're going to get the phone, he would have stopped and he would have ran over there, got the phone, and he would have been happy. This was a test. And you got to pass the test because otherwise they're going to keep testing you and you're going to keep giving in and they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm telling you, I was not paying $800 for a phone. That was just like craziness. If I would have done that, I would have just been so insanely crazy that I would have been just angry with myself. So no, that wasn't happening. So my takeaway from this whole story is parents, do not give in. Stand strong, be consistent, develop structure. If your kids want something, your young adults, give them chores, give them, make a star chart, whatever you have to do. I made star charts and hey, you take a shower, you get $1, just things that they can do. And even things that might be a little bit harder, but give them that opportunity to try. Do not just be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just get it for you. It's easier. Well, it's not going to be easier in the end. I promise you that. And they have to learn responsibility. That's just the way it is. Because when you are not here and they have no responsibility, then what? What's going to happen then? But I'll tell you just quickly, one thing I did when my son was younger, and I should have never, ever started this pattern. But when he would have behavior, it would be so overwhelming. I mean, he would go on for hours and hours and hours. And it was just so much that I actually made a deal with him. Worst thing I could have ever done was to make a deal and say, if you can control your behavior, then you'll get a special surprise. Now, I didn't even know what that special surprise was going to be. I was just saying that because in the moment, I just didn't want to deal with the behavior. And it was just so overwhelming. And I may have had a headache or whatever. But I made a deal with him. And guess what? He controlled himself. And he was looking for that special surprise. This was when he was younger. So then I noticed there was a pattern. Every time I said, control your emotions, then he would say, special surprise. Special surprise? Will I get a special surprise? Why did I even start that? Because even as he got older in his teens, he would still ask for a special surprise. Because he remembered that if he controlled his emotions, he would get a special surprise. Now keep in mind, sometimes they can't really truly control it because it may be a trigger. But this is a situation when you're dealing with I can't have what I want when I want it, and I can't have my way. That is not real behavior. That is, I just want my way, and because I can't get it, therefore I'm going to act out until I get it. And you can't give it to them. So one other thing I wanted to mention was now that my son is making his own money, there are also other things regarding structure that are important. So for example, for us, my son likes to have certain foods during the week, but I'm not buying them every day. He likes ice cream. He can't have lactose or gluten, but we get the dairy-free brand ice cream. And he can have that on Saturdays. So he knows Saturdays is ice cream day. Sunday, we eat out, or sometimes we cook together. That's a pattern. And the other day is Tuesdays. Tuesday is the day that he can have his green grapes. Then we have Thursdays, he likes candies. Now, I don't do sugar and candy and things of that nature, but I do go to like this organic grocery store and I buy something called sweet treats. It has 2 grams of sugar, so he can have that on Thursdays. Friday is chip day. We don't eat chips all the time. So it's like anytime we would go to the grocery store, he wanted chips, 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 chips. But you have to think about blood pressure. You have to think about, the cholesterol and fat and all these other different things. And it's just not healthy because it's not really any nutritional value. So that's Fridays. So Friday is chip night. Even Friday night is game night. We have game night and we play games together. And, it's something that they look forward to. Now, the one thing I did want to mention is now that he's making his own money, he could buy the things that he wants. But on those particular days, I usually buy them. But if he has significant behavior during that week, he may lose ice cream day. Now, ice cream day is on Saturdays. I normally buy it. I will tell him, because of this behavior that you're having, you're going to spend your own money buying it. But just because he's spending his own money buying it doesn't mean it changes from Saturday to any day he wants. Ice cream day is still on Saturday, but you still have to spend your own money because of your behavior. So you have to establish some kind of rules and regulations with all of this. Otherwise, these kiddos, I call them kiddos, even though they're young adults too, they will just run over you like a mat. And that's that. So yeah, we're not doing all that. So guys, that's going to conclude this video. I'm going to pause right here and we're going to come back and start talking about more autism and behavior challenges and things, from my experience, and maybe share some of my stories and things of that nature. But I just want to leave you with this one thought. Parents, don't give in, be consistent, and please, 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 no matter what, continue journaling. If you didn't hear about that in the first video, make sure you watch that video because that is going to be the base for everything you do. Journal. Check that video out and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.